Okay, now we get to the point of this restoration, which I am really not looking forward to. And that is, we are back again to our entire bank of relays here. To cover it over again, the IBM Model 29 key punch does not have any integrated circuits in it at all. I mean, it has a couple of diodes, but other than that, everything else is driven by a whole bunch of relays. These things right here. Now, early on in the life of these key punches, what IBM had done was they had tried to replace this style of relay, and we'll get back to this, and it was basically a metallic reed. You know those little tiny glass reed switches that you can get? Like they're usually used for magnetic door contacts and that on window and door alarms? Those things, but with a little coil inside them that would energize and that would kick open or kick close these reeds. And it was supposed to be a lot more reliable than these, and it turned out to be even less reliable. So what IBM went and did is that they re-released the wiring, the circuitry inside of the key punches to go back to these traditional relays. Some of these are all different sizes. So I'm going to pull this one out here. If I can, there we go, unlock it and get this out of the way. So this was IBM's general purpose relay. When we think of a relay, we do normally think of a metallic contact that just kind of bounces back and forth between two contacts, or 2 points on an armature. This is kind of the same, but instead of having a metallic strip, it has a pair of very fine metal wires, which are pre-tensioned, and when it actuates, and you can't see this in here, but when this actuates, it moves these wires a very, very, very tiny amount. And that is part of our problem. You see, these relays here, the earlier versions of these relays actually had gold contacts, and they were prone to tarnishing, even though it's gold. This uses a silver alloy, which is even more prone to tarnishing. And as a result, every single relay in this thing has tarnished up and doesn't work. Curious Mark kind of ran into this problem, but that was more with the contacts inside of the key punch mechanism itself. The relays, for the most part, were okay. I am not so lucky. So every single one of these relays needs to be disassembled and cleaned. A little bit easier said than done, because these relays have this adjustment here, which isn't really conspicuous, and each wire relay is preloaded with a tension. So if I take this off to dismantle it, I lose that adjustment that I cannot reset, and the relay won't run on factory tension specifications anymore. But we're not screwed in this case here, because you can pull the wires out and clean them. And I've already tried to clean these in their place. Deoxit doesn't work. Contact cleaner doesn't work. It's tarnished. They each have to be pulled out, and they have to be cleaned. And the reason I took out this relay here, which has only 4 contacts, or 8 wire contacts inside of that, is because this is going to take a lot less time to do to make this video, as opposed to the ones which contain 6 or even 12 contacts and up to 24 individual wire contacts. So what we're going to need here is a few tools, but I recommend you also get yourself a couple of cloths like this. I use those LCD cleaning rags cloths, something that's lint free, something that you don't mind getting dirty, getting wet. I also recommend that you get some 1500 grit, I can't even call it sandpaper. It's very, very fine material. We don't want to aggressively abrasive. Sorry, let's do that again. We don't want to use any sort of aggressive abrasives to clean these contacts because that can further damage them. And also, they're very, very fragile as it is. Bending these here could cause problems. We're also going to require a knife, at least one pair of tweezers, Q-tips, some sort of little container. I have this beaker here, and I strongly recommend that you get yourself some deoxit. I'm using Fader F5 because that's all I have access to, and some contact cleaner. This is more of an oily material, more of an oily substance. We'll be using the deoxit portion of the chemistry to clean the contacts, but we'll be using this here, the zero residue style of electrosilve contact cleaner, as a solvent to clean off the unnecessary oil. Anyways, I start off by pouring some of that, or spraying some of that, into the jar. And then with a clean surface, I don't want anything to fall down. I'll just start pulling the pins out. Nothing to these. So you have your pins, which go across, and then they have a little angle at the end here. And I can just use my fingernail even to just pull them out. And there we go. And there they are. They are out. These two very, 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 very fine wires. And in they go. And we'll do that for the remainders. There we go. So they're out. So now what I want to do is I want to clean the contacts, as well as what happens here is that the wire is leaning against the side of this pin, which travels straight through the plastic and up into here. I need to clean that as well. Now to do that, I'm going to put it into a vise, but also to put it into a vise, I got to bend my camera back, and oh hello, I'm just going to put this here, one, to make sure I don't get any junk or debris onto my pants, but you know, also to show respect for a little bit of modesty here. We don't need a groin cam. And then I have my little tiny vise here, which is falling apart. Now my choice is I'll hold it like this, so that way I can burnish the bottom here. And to burnish it, I'll take this, and using our knife, I'll just cut a fine strip. Let's actually cut 2 fine strips. Grab a Q-tip. And since we have deoxit sitting right here, I'll wet the surface. And then I'll take our strip here. I might have actually made this too thin. And I'll wet the end of that. And then I can run it into here and burnish those contacts. Let me get a light on that. Pardon me. Now you can't see it, but the contacts have cleaned up very quickly. If that will stay on there. And I do recommend, if you want to clean these, the actual contacts that made up with the surface on the relay panel, you can. Nothing different about that there. I can just kind of run it across. Oh yeah, that cleans it up nicely. Alright. And now for our stupid little gap right here. Now, there's strict instructions from IBM. Do not bend them. The other thing is, unfortunately, I can't fit it like this into my little vise, so I have to hold it like this, where unfortunately you can't see it. At the same time, I'm trying to mount this onto here so that the relay coil and all of this up here is not areas that I'm going to be saturating by accident. I'll just wet that up. There we go. And I will not be able to get my Q-tip in to clean the contacts, but because we've already wet this a bit, I could just feed that through and floss it. We don't need a ton of material here. There we go. That should be plenty. Okay. Another thing we can do here is that if we want to clean out the holes where our contacts go through, I don't have anything, I can't put a Q-tip in there, obviously, but something like, say, a pipe cleaner that gets dipped, you can push that into the hole to clear any debris that may be in there. It will not burnish those holes, but it'll at least help to clear them. There. And then, like I said, now I have an oily sheen that's on here that I really don't want, and it's just a side effect of using that particular style of deoxit. So then I'll use a more evaporative type of contact cleaner here, and just, again, trying to keep it away from the coil. And as that evaporates, it'll take that oily material with it. And I can put the relay over there for now. The other thing I'll do is I'll grab a pill bottle, and I could really just lay these down here, but I'm not going to risk it. And now that we've allowed these to soak for a little while, I'll grab my sandpaper, and I will grab the light and move it out of the way. Can I move it out of the way? Thank you. And we'll move the camera so you'll see what's going on. There we go. And so I've folded over the sandpaper like this so that I can actually grab both sides of the wire and uniformly clean them. There we go. And then I can just put them in here, and oh so gently, very gently, clean that up. And then you want to do the other side as well. This camera does absolutely no justice, but I can assure you that is far cleaner than it used to be. By an order of magnitude, it is fantastic. And you can actually see on the paper here some of the material which I've already cleaned off. So I'm going to repeat this a fair number more times, and then I'll get back to you once we're ready to begin the disassembly. So one moment, please. A little bit right there. There. So that is all 8 wires done. So that's done with, thankfully. I'm just going to put a cover over that because there's many more relays to go. And I'm going to move that out of our way. And so we now have all of our wires. We have our cleaned main assembly here with our contacts. And now I got to put them all back in. Now to do that, it seems like it'd be intimidating because remember, it's still set by the tension here. But it's not too bad. I'll grab them one at a time, and I'm trying to keep track of them. That's why they're in this container. And simply, I'll take a wire. I can take 2 wires actually if I want. And I'll wait and I'll just kind of feed it through the hole. And then of course you're going to come up against the actuator. And I can just use these to very carefully persuade it back through that. There's a little hole there. It's through. Persuade it again. There, one down. And you see how it's, well, you can't really see it, but the point is here, these really only go one way. It's kind of like a keyhole. And you have your wire here where the bent edge is facing downwards to where your contacts and where the bottom of the keyhole is. And so we have 2 wires per. So in this case here, I'll do each wire individually. And then I'll persuade that through. Oh, can't do it that way. I'm also making sure that the wires don't fold over each other. That's not doing that. There's 2 there. So I'll grab another 2. There we go. And I'll group those together. And I'll feed those through. Two down, 2 to go. Okay, and 2 more. All right, and there we go. So that's all 8 wires back into our 4 contacts. Now we have to test it because there's no point putting this back in if it didn't get done right. And believe me, that's happened before. So let me just turn on my multimeter to continuity. There we go. So I'll attach our common, and I will attach our normally closed. Okay. Perfect. 2. 3. 4. Bit of a reach on this one here. I'm going to have to flip the relay over. Nope, there we go. All right, there we go. That's one relay down and still another dozen left to go. This is the reason why I didn't want to, well, I'm not looking forward to doing this, but it has to be done anyways because there are relays on there where there's no continuity across any of this. So they all have to be done. I hope this gave anyone who was trying to figure out how to clean these relays a good insight on how to do it. There is a way to do it without completely dismantling them, so even heavily tarnished ones can be cleaned. I hope for everyone else that you enjoyed watching this and you enjoyed me trying to fix this relay successfully. And until next time, have a good one.